Good evening, race fans, and welcome to round number 2 of the Team Goon Squad Formula One Challenge. We are here, back again at Spa, Circuit de Spa, and what a lovely day it is to be back here at Spa for yet another round of the Formula One Challenge. My name is Mason Heimbaugh with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action today, 1080p, 60 frames a second, as we have our starting grid here and ready for the start of today's race. Mac Miller in the 79 machine starting out in first place on the starting grid, with Finley Fitzsimmons in second place. Rise Newburn in the 67 starting in third, with Troy Banks going to be in fourth place. Alex Penn in the 30 machine going to be in fifth. Gareth McAllister taking sixth place. Oliver Sheen in that seventh place spot, and Jack Mundy taking that 8th place spot for the start of the race here today. As we currently are looking at Finley Fitzsimmons on his lonesome at the moment in the front row, with the rest of the field stacked up behind him at the moment. We can see a little bit smaller field than we're probably used to, but given that Spa is not exactly the most forgiving of circuits, it is without a doubt going to be one of those tracks that if you are not confident, might be one that you may want to skip out on. As Spa, again, one of the historic Formula One tracks on the schedule among many, as you can hear the drivers whirring away their engines. The lights are out, the green flag flies, and we are racing here. Mac Miller with an excellent start here, going off into turn one. Let's see how these drivers handle it. Oh, look at these drivers stacking their way out of turn one and down through Eau Rouge. Alex Penn here working his way into second place here. We'll see everyone's exit out of Eau Rouge. Everyone looking very, very comfortable right now, as it would seem. Finley Fitzsimmons, or excuse me, it looks like Gareth McAllister as well as Jack Mundy here, both teammates here, going to be running 5th and 6th place respectively. Look at how close these drivers are here on the starting opening lap here of today's race. And again, I apologize if you are looking at the timing on the left-hand side of your screen. Things are a little out of place at this point in time here in the moment, but we're going to go ahead and continue on with the action as we see it and call it as it is. Right now, Mac Miller still our race leader at this point in time. Alex Penn taking that second place spot in the 30 machine. Gotta say, Mac Miller here with a very unique, interesting color scheme for his car here today in that 79 of black, green, and purple. I do like the interesting combo there. It does stand out quite nice amongst this field. And I gotta say, it's a nice, refreshing start to this race to have another driver, another fresh face that we have not seen in the start of the Formula One season. So, Mac Miller here coming out. I believe this is his first race of the season here with the folks here for the Team Goon Squad Formula One Challenge, and right now he is off to a very dominating start. Troy Banks, though, working his way up into second place, and look at how close Finley Fitzsimmons on the bumper, or rather the rear wing of the 30 of Alex Penn here for that third place spot. It's a battle all the way up into second place here as Finley Fitzsimmons battles with Alex Penn. Alex really not doing a whole lot here. Oh, wow. That was a very, very good move there by Finley Fitzsimmons with Alex Penn. They were both wheel to wheel there. Alex Penn there ultimately giving up the spot. Not going to compete with Finley Fitzsimmons, who has done a phenomenal job throughout the season here already. So Troy Banks right now taking that second place spot right now. He's up 2 positions from where he started here. Alex Penn ultimately now finding himself in the same spot that Troy Banks started at this race here in 4th place. These are looking very, very solid. This is looking quite solid here for Troy Banks in that 8 machine at this point in time here. Mac Miller here as well has also given himself nearly 2 seconds of a gap here on lap 3 of 22. These laps are going to be ticking off very quickly for these drivers here, so you really got to be on your marks. You want to be as aggressive as you can without making yourself, putting yourself in really, really tricky spots. So right here you see the Race Hub Motorsports driver Finley Fitzsimmons taking the 2nd place spot from Troy Banks. Troy Banks going to be one of the privateer drivers here in the series among many of the privateers here as well for these races. So Troy Banks, Finley Fitzsimmons here as alongside with Jack Mundy and Daniel Beauchamp. All 3 of these drivers all represent Race Hub Motorsports. And as well, we also have a few drivers here from Cornerstone Motorworks, and that will be Alex Penn. And I believe that is the only driver that we have present from Cornerstone Motorworks here today. So a few drivers here that are not present, obviously, but as the season progresses, we are seeing more and more individuals take interest into the series, into the league. So it's always great to have fresh faces, fresh drivers to come on and race with us. It's always great to have a nice, healthy field of talented, skilled drivers. As right now, as we follow along with Troy Banks in that 3rd place spot. So right now, if you're looking down on the track map on the right-hand side of your screen, given that's kind of the only information that we can ultimately show you at this point in time. Right now, Mac Miller still the race leader. You can see just how close, a little bit more effectively here on the track map. You can see how close all of these drivers here, all the way down into 4th place, Alex Penn. Alex Penn right now sees about 2.25 seconds between himself and Troy Banks, but given how Spa just naturally is a very easy track to kind of pace yourself pretty well here, I would have to say, as long as you're being careful, hitting your marks, and not overextending yourself where unnecessary. Now, right now, a lot of these drivers here up in the top 4 all seem pretty comfortable. I don't see anyone really making any major mistakes here, really showing any kind of mishaps here. Everyone looks to be fairly comfortable here at this point in time. So it's great to see all of these drivers here performing as well as they are at this point in time. So right now, Oliver Sheen came down here into pit roads. Not exactly what the reasoning is at this point in time. We're only on lap 5 of 22, so I can't think of any reason other than he might have came off track and had some damage there. But he Going to be a quick pit stop there for Oliver Sheen. As Mac Miller continues on with his lead, Finley Fitzsimmons follows closely behind in that second place spot. With just nearly a second under for that distance between Mac Miller and the 6 of Finley Fitzsimmons. I have to wonder here if Finley on the soft reds, and I believe Mac Miller as well, going to be on the same compound here. They indeed are. So, with both of these drivers both on the same compound, and right now it looks like Mac Miller also starting to get a little bit of distance once again between himself and Finley Fitzsimmons. So, both of these drivers showing some very, very incredible pace here. I'm interested to see how Finley here is going to try and maybe possibly work his way up to the 79. Well, he's obviously going to try and work his way up to the 79 of Mac Miller here, but it's just a matter of how and when. So with that in mind, we're kind of looking at this race right now, at least this portion of the race. Again, this is the feature race for today's race. This is not Heat 1 as indicated by the timing tower. That is just how we have to kind of organize things here for iRacing events. But ultimately, this is the feature. We will have our 11-lap sprint following feature race here today, as right now Mac Miller, Finley Fitzsimmons, Troy Banks take your top 3 at this point in time. So Mac Miller now starting to see a little bit of that pressure from behind of Finley Fitzsimmons as they come into U Rouge here. Mac Miller here still setting some impressive pace. He's able to keep himself just out in front of Finley Fitzsimmons and maintain that gap of just about a second between the two. Now, I've seen Finley obviously have to fight with the likes of Daniel Beauchamp, who is now his teammate in the first season of the Formula One Challenge. So, and we've also seen this circuit in the first season as well. So, Finley Fitzsimmons going to be pretty familiar with this circuit, with this car combination. So, things might also be a little bit different. Again, this is now a open setup series, so drivers are allowed to make tweaks to their car. They're allowed to make those minor or major modifications that just allow them to get that little bit more speed out of their cars. Now, whether that's a few tenths of a second or maybe even a full second or more, that is obviously the difference over your opponent. So right now, Mac Miller seems to have the car to beat at this point in time, but only time will tell, and it's uncertain whether or not he's going to have the same success once we come out of our pit cycles. Now, pit cycles, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, it would be around the lap 11 to 13 mark, if I do recall correctly here. So Right now, we still got a few laps before we'll see any of our drivers come down into pit road for tires, at least. But we will expect to see that happen here as we have Jack Mundy coming down here into pit road. He's going to be down a lap here as well, a couple laps actually, it looks like. Not exactly certain what happened there with Jack Mundy. We'll have to see if we can get a replay of that spooled up and on screen for you folks at home. But right here at this point in time, we are nearing the halfway point through this race here today, so everything is looking extremely calm at this point in time. A lot of drivers here that have seen a little struggle have already found themselves either out of the race or just not exactly on the lead lap here. So right now, Mac Miller, Finley Fitzsimmons, both going to be the closest together as far as timing and scoring is concerned. Troy Banks loosely behind them with just about 4 seconds between himself and Finley Fitzsimmons, following in that third place spot, excuse me. In fourth place, actually, is Alex Penn in the 30 machine for today's race. And here we have Gareth McAllister in the 888 machine, taking 5th place here, as he's going to come down here into pit road after a slight incident just a moment ago. Seeing if there's any damage to that 888 machine, and it does not look like it is. The lean green angry Hulk machine is seemingly a-okay at this point in time here in the race, but Mac Miller starting to see that gap slowly start to dwindle between himself and Finley Fitzsimmons at this point in time here. So right now, if I'm Finley, you know, really there's not much else that he can do other than continue. Oh, that was almost extremely bad for Finley Fitzsimmons. That could have ended absolutely terribly, as Finley Fitzsimmons continues on with his trek here to track down the 79 of Mac Miller. He comes down here into pit road, and that's going to be a smart move as well from Finley Fitzsimmons after that little bit of an issue there just a few turns ago. But ultimately, that's not going to be the only reason why Finley's going to come down here into pit road. Going to get on those fresher set of tires, get that extra bit of grip for a track like this, and I have to imagine that he's going to come out on those intermediates. There it is, yes sir. So onto the mediums he goes, and back out onto track. That's going to put him back in 4th place now, but not going to take Finley a whole lot of time to track himself back to Mac Miller in the 79, who's looking like he's starting to have some potential issues in that 79 here. So we follow along, getting very, very wide out of that horseshoe. Just paying attention to the 79 here, just trying to see exactly what happens here for Mac Miller. And if he's going to decide to come down into pit road here before too long, I would have to imagine that he is. Those tires are definitely going to be worn. Look at how wobbly Miller is gonna be looking to come in. Let's see if he does here. He doesn't. He doesn't. He stays out. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Okay, so this can only go one of two ways here. Right now, looking at timing and scoring, Finley Fitzsimmons is just about 20 seconds from the 79 of Mac Miller right now. Now, that sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. But when you consider that Mac Miller here has been on the same set of tires, lap 11 now of 22. Now, this was also the tire window that we did predict, that we did mention at the beginning of the race. So it is not exactly out of the picture here that Mac decided to stay out and continue to keep his lead here, but he is now kind of in an interesting situation where he's going to have more problems to worry about here before too long. Finley Fitzsimmons coming in nice and early, lap 9, to get on those intermediate yellows. Finley's going to be able to stay out on those tires for the rest of the race. So, and with how things are looking right now for Finley Fitzsimmons, he is just tracking along here. His pace is extremely good right now. And between himself and Alex Penn, just about 7 3/4 seconds. It won't be long. Mac Miller here coming down into pit road. It's going to be lap 12 of 22 as he crosses the line down there in pit road. And he's going to come down here and get on a fresh set of tires, get some more fuel. And that's going to give Alex Penn the opportunity to take the lead for a lap. And up on all fours, Mac Miller coming out onto the intermediate yellows. My brain, it's still pretty early for myself here. I know by the time that everyone watches this at home, it'll be, well, hopefully a little bit later than when this is being recorded. But anyhow, Finley Fitzsimmons here in that second place spot. Now seeing a little bit of trouble from Mac Miller here. These two drivers now back on top of one another. Mac Miller on the rear wing of the 6 of Finley Fitzsimmons. They have swapped places here halfway through the race. And these two now are going to have a chance for a wonderful battle for second place. And once Alex Penn decides to come down into pit road, it'll eventually be a battle for the lead. Ooh, someone way off track there. That's going to be Jack Mundy. Missing a wheel as well. We'll see if we can get a replay of that spooled up as well. Finley Fitzsimmons, very, very good work there. Through the tight chicane, the final turn, and across the checkered line, lap 13 of 22. For the second round of the Formula One Challenge. With Team Goon Squad, Alex Penn still out in front. And actually, now that I've noticed it, he actually started on those intermediate yellows. So, Alex Penn with a little bit of an advantage here. Oh, and right as I say that, oh man, bites the wall just a little bit. Doesn't look like he damaged that car too badly. It's hard to say just from looking from the cameras, but it does appear that that 30 machine will make its way back out onto track in one piece. So that's going to give the lead back to Finley Fitzsimmons. Mac Miller here as well. Who was that? Jack Mundy. After losing that wheel, he's going to find himself just kind of tucked in the wall, and he's just going to stay there. He's going to think about think about what he's done, how he's ended up here, and the life choices he's made to be here. So, all kidding aside, Finley Fitzsimmons, Mac Miller, both going to be duking it out for this lead here. Mac Miller down on the inside of Finley Fitzsimmons. Alex Penn decides to say, you know what, I'm just going to go straight through the chicane. I don't even care. The final turn, not a problem for Alex Penn here, as Finley Fitzsimmons, Mac Miller still duking it out for the lead. Come out of turn 1 and down the straight towards Rouge, whatever it's called. And Mac Miller is going to take back that lead after a very, very impressive maneuver through that final chicane. And Finley Fitzsimmons going to try it again himself, taking the lead back once again. A very, very quick maneuver out of the 6 machine there. Mac Miller not exactly, I don't even think he was half expecting that as well. So Finley Fitzsimmons, I would have to imagine he was using DRS there. I wasn't exactly looking at that point in time. I was just fascinated by Finley just charging his way around that 6 of Mac Miller. But Mac is also going to have the opportunity for DRS once they find themselves in that zone. And you can see Jack Mundy still just kind of parked there, just taking a little bit of a nap. Right now, it's still just under a second, half a second between Mac Miller and Finley Fitzsimmons here. So once we get into that next DRS zone, and I believe actually that it is only the one on the front straight, on the through Rodillion. Is that correct? I think that's correct. All right, so either way, either how. Oh, look at this through turn 1. Finley Fitzsimmons way on the inside there. Powers it all the way out towards the straight to Rouge. Finley Fitzsimmons, Mac Miller just duking it out. Lap after lap here for this first place spot. DRS zone. You can see it. Wing is open for Mac Miller in the 79. Goes around the outside of Finley Fitzsimmons. Gets around him just in the nick of time. Through the chicane, and very nice work from Finley Fitzsimmons, staying as close as he can to the rear wing. These cars are notorious for the dirty air that they put out behind them. So the fact that Finley, the fact that Finley Fitzsimmons here is doing as well as he is, staying as close as he is just absolutely phenomenal here. So now Mac Miller is starting to get himself a little bit of a nice gap between himself and Finley Fitzsimmons. I'm not exactly certain if that's going to last, as Mac Miller here starting to see that 6 of Finley coming right back to the rear wing. Through the final chicane into the next DRS zone. DRS is open for Finley. Charging back to the 79 of Mac Miller into turn 1. Into Rouge we go. Finley trying to keep within that 1 second gap so he can keep that DRS advantage. Wings open again. And you can see it on Troy Banks as well. Troy Banks here ultimately just using it to keep within, close that gap, and possibly get himself into a 3-way battle here for the lead. Troy Banks now also very close to being able to do so here. The next DRS zone, he might be able to pull himself in. through the final chicane here. Just watching these drivers. Oh, Troy Banks almost got wicked loose. Coming out of the final chicane and using that little bit of DRS to catch himself back up to these guys. Mac Miller now has also got himself a little bit of a comfortable gap now between Finley Fitzsimmons, but we'll see exactly how long that's going to last. Finley not going to have DRS available to him this time around. He's not close enough. Troy Banks, on the other hand, does have that advantage just to keep himself close as possible to Finley here. Lap 17 of 22. The race is dwindling down very, very quickly. So just taking a look here at the left front suspension work of the 79 of Mac Miller, just to give you folks at home it's kind of a different view here of the line work from Mac Miller, and also listen to those lovely sounds of the Mercedes W12. I gotta say, this has been a wonderful, wonderful vehicle to have in the iRacing service. It has been absolutely phenomenal to watch all of these drivers come here and do what they do. So Troy Banks still here. At the moment, he's still within that DRS zone or DRS window of Finley Fitzsimmons, as Finley goes a little bit wide. And Troy Banks also goes off track there for just a moment into the sand. That doesn't exactly put him too far away from Finley, but that's going to cost him some time. Lap 18 of 22, just, well, once we cross the line, it'll be 4 laps left to go here for round 2 for the feature here at Spa. I'm surprised here that Troy Banks didn't use that DRS this time around to try and get himself closer to the 6 of Finley Fitzsimmons. So we'll see if this time around exactly what Troy Banks has in mind. Ooh, as he comes around the inside, or the outside actually. Finley Fitzsimmons going through the final chicane. They were wheel to wheel. Finley Fitzsimmons going to fall back into third for just a moment. They're going to be wheel to wheel here once again down the final straight. And across the line into turn one. Troy Banks able to take that second place spot quite effectively. On those soft reds here as well, but I gotta imagine that Troy Banks here coming in on lap 11 to get on those soft reds. They have definitely got to feel a little worse for wear, as Finley gonna be on those intermediates, able to keep a little bit more pace, a little bit more life from those tires here on lap 20 of 22. Mac Miller had a moment here as well just a moment ago. And that's going to give his opponents, Finley Fitzsimmons and Troy Banks, an opportunity to reel him in. You can see as Finley Fitzsimmons, Troy Banks. Right now, Finley just under 4 seconds between himself and Mac Miller. So Mac is doing everything he can to keep that pace, keep everything he's got going for him. But that's going to take quite some time here before we see these two drivers back on the 79, as we are on lap 21 of 22 here for the feature. Oh no, Mac Miller. A massive wreck here on lap 21 for the 79 of Mac Miller. That machine is looking absolutely mangled. Wow. And here we have a battle once again now for first place here on the final couple laps. For the feature, Troy Banks, Finley Fitzsimmons now going to be duking it out here. Troy able to get out in front on those soft reds, trying to get every inch of life that he can out of those tires here. Finley Fitzsimmons now on the inside of the 8 of Troy Banks. Troy here still doing all he can to stick around the 6 of Finley Fitzsimmons, working and going through the final chicane. Finley's going to come down here into pit road. All right. And Troy Banks going to stay out on the final lap. The white flag has flown here at Spa for the feature. And right now, Troy Banks seems to be the driver that's going to come home with the win across the checkered line for the feature for round number 2 of the Team Goon Squad Formula One Challenge. Finley Fitzsimmons back out on track. He's gonna be out on fresh tires, I would have to imagine. Or not. Looks like he might have possibly been serving a drive-through. I'm not exactly certain as far as what for, but that's gonna put back Finley Fitzsimmons nearly 14 seconds from Troy Banks here, after we saw these two both nearly battling for this lead here. through the final chicane here and across the checkered line. Troy Banks is going to take home the win for the feature of round number 2 of the Formula One Challenge here. And Finley Fitzsimmons, the only other driver left out on track, going to come across the line here now for second place. And that's going to conclude our coverage for the feature for today. And race results for that is Troy Banks in first, Finley Fitzsimmons taking home second, Mac Miller in third, Alex Penn in fourth, Gareth McAllister in fifth, Oliver Sheen in sixth, Jack Mundy in seventh, Rise Newburn in eighth, and Joseph Penn in ninth. And we will be right back for the start of our sprint. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere. We'll be back for more iRacing right here on Team Goon Squad.
Driver Carrington gets dumped by Benami. The leaders are winding up here. Daytona, the big one is out.
Welcome back, race fans, and we are ready for the sprint race for round number 2 of the Team Goon Squad Formula One Challenge. In our starting grid, Mac Miller out in front in the 79 machine, with Finley Fitzsimmons starting out in second, Rise Newburn in third in the 67, Troy Banks going to be in fourth, Alex Penn in fifth, Gareth McAllister in sixth, Oliver Sheen in seventh, and Jack Mundy in eighth. As our drivers get ready to start things off here, Finley Fitzsimmons, Alex Penn, Gareth McAllister, Jack Mundy all out on track. Mac Miller now making his way out onto the grid. And it is an inverted start for the race here today. So Jack Mundy will be in front. Mac Miller all the way in the back. So we get ready for the lights to go out and the green flag to fly. Mac Miller with a very nice charge all the way from the back of the field, up 7 positions already. Oh. Mac Miller here already worked his way up to the front. Jack Mundy now trying to hold off his spot in second place. Finley Fitzsimmons, Alex Penn going to be wheel to wheel here through Eau Rouge. Very nice battle here. 3-way battle for second place. Look at these. Look at that. You can see as well Finley Fitzsimmons. Oh no. They both collide into one another. Finley Fitzsimmons, Jack Mundy both have damage as they come through the first chicane. Race Hub Motorsports not having the best start to the sprint. As Alex Penn, Troy Banks, and Gareth McAllister now going to battle 3-way for the second place spot. Gareth McAllister on the inside of Troy Banks in the 888 machine. Alex Penn now taking that second place spot after he, well, really was holding on quite well in the feature to come out here and place himself in second place. And ultimately all he's got to do now that Finley Fitzsimmons has been effectively put out of the race here, as well as Jack Mundy, who was also collected in that little bit of an incident there. Troy Banks here going to be charging now on Alex Penn. He gets around the 30, Troy Banks, taking that second place spot away from the 30 of Alex Penn. So Mac Miller right now nearly 4 seconds between himself and Troy Banks, and Alex Penn still on the charge here. Myself hitting the wrong button here, but getting a ride on board with Alex Penn in the 30. And you can see the driver's times being set across your screen on the top left-hand side. Mac Miller setting a best time for the session with a 1:43.83. And Troy Banks, interestingly enough, just behind that with a 1:43.88. So Alex Penn here, the lone driver with Cornerstone Motorworks. And the only teammate of that team that is present for the race here today. The other two teammates, Tyler Evans, James Silvers, both not present here at this moment. Oh, okay, Alex Penn taking that little bit of a shortcut through the final chicane that we've seen him do earlier towards the end of the feature. Alex Penn gonna get an off track for that one, I'm sure. Look at this. You can see Gareth McAllister in third place now. Going to have a little bit of trouble here from Alex Penn. Alex, DRS wide open. That's going to put Gareth McAllister in pretty much a standstill. So Gareth McAllister trying to get himself back up here, but he almost collects himself into the left rear side of Alex Penn. So a few interesting choices here for our tire compounds. Gareth McAllister starting on the soft reds for the sprint race. Alex Penn going to be on those intermediates. And then Troy Banks up here also on the reds, as well as Mac Miller, I believe. And Mac Miller here as well, starting to see Troy Banks. Not exactly reeling him in by any means. Right now, between himself and Troy Banks, there's actually 4.5 seconds between the two, and it's only been increasing ever so slowly. You can already see Mac Miller here starting to see a little bit of trouble out of that 79 machine here. But right now, the closest battle that we have out on track is Gareth McAllister and Alex Penn as we cross the line, lap 6 of 11 here for the sprint. You can see just how well Alex Penn is also doing on these intermediates here. As far as pace is concerned, Gareth is still a little bit faster on those reds, but Alex gonna be able to hold on to those tires a lot longer, especially since he's been so consistent and hasn't been as aggressive, nearly as aggressive. Gareth McAllister now very close to that rear wing of Alex Penn, almost on the wheels of that 30 machine here as we go coming up on the final chicane. Alex Penn, they're going to open up the door there for Gareth McAllister to come in, but into turn 1. Gareth with that DRS wide open. They almost touch. Coming out of turn 1 there. Oh, and through Eau Rouge, Gareth McAllister almost gets pushed off the track from Alex Penn. That was extremely close from both of these drivers. coming into pit road. Gareth McAllister, Alex Penn, both. You're on lap 8 of 11. I'm assuming to get that last bit of fuel, or possibly even just a fresh set of tires to finish out the race. So Troy Banks in that second place spot. Gareth McAllister in third, and Alex Penn closely behind in fourth place at this point in time. And Alex Penn here going to be giving Gareth McAllister a little bit of trouble after they both came out of pit road. Both, I'm assuming, going to be on a fresh set of tires. And Gareth McAllister now just going to be within a half a second behind Alex Penn in the 30. Gareth McAllister there, a little bit of trouble. As we're on lap 9 of 11 here. Just about 3 laps left to go before we see the white flag fly and the checkered come out for the sprint race of round number 2 of the Team Goon Squad Formula One Challenge. As right now there's only four cars out on track at the moment. Not a whole lot of action happening right now. So drivers ultimately just need to keep themselves patient, calm, and steady. As Alex Penn has a little bit of trouble there, it's going to allow Gareth McAllister to reel back in that number 30 machine. Right now, still the closest battle. Gareth McAllister and Alex Penn here. Lap 10 of 11. It won't be much longer before we see that flag fly. And these drivers determine who will come home with the win for the sprint race. And right now, it looks like Mac Miller is possibly going to look at taking home the win after a terrible wreck in the feature. And Troy Banks was able to see himself come across the line and take home the win here, but in second place right now, I'm sure that he's still going to be quite satisfied with a podium nonetheless. And the white flag is out as Mac Miller crosses the line. Out in front, as we're continuing to watch here with the close battle between Alex Penn and Gareth McAllister. And across the line, these two go, and not giving each other an inch here. Gareth McAllister still on the rear wheels, on the rear wing of Alex Penn in the 30. As Mac Miller works his way out of the final chicane, Troy Banks just behind him. They're going to cross the line first and second, respectively. Alex Penn and Gareth McAllister both going to be approaching the final few turns here very shortly. Gareth McAllister still fighting with Alex Penn, trying to crack himself into the top three here before the end of this race. Gareth still trying with Alex Penn of Cornerstone Motorworks. Let's see if Gareth is going to be able to pull it off here in the final chicane. And it does not look like Gareth is going to be able to do so. And across the line, Alex Penn taking home third place with Gareth McAllister in fourth. Here are our official race results. Mac Miller taking home the win. Troy Banks in second. Alex Penn in third. Gareth McAllister in fourth. Jack Mundy in fifth. Finley Fitzsimmons in sixth. Rise Newburn in seventh. Oliver Sheen in eighth. That is going to conclude our coverage of round number 2 of the Team Goon Squad Formula Challenge here at Spa. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.